year ago, I was offered a data journalist job at FORSET, which sounded like a very exciting opportunity for me. So I thought a lot about it, and I decided to say no. The reason behind that was that I did not want to have anything to do with data. Because data is nothing more than just numbers, unless you turn it into a story. And numbers confused me. Numbers even frightened me, and that's what numbers do. They intimidate a lot of people. But then I tried to look at the matter from a different perspective, which is also what you do as a storyteller, trying to see things from as many different angles as possible. And that was when I thought that, FORSET seems to be a great team, and what they do is important and meaningful, and nobody else in Georgia does that. And maybe it's data storytelling, it's still storytelling, and I love telling stories, so maybe I should try it out. So I joined the team, and the journey began. And by the way, do you know what was the team's only advice before I came here to do this presentation about how powerful data journalism is and how excited we were about data storytelling? They said, do not laugh into the microphone. Very funny. But me laughing is an excuse for me talking. So what I've learned about data storytelling after a year is that you can tell a story with data just like you would craft it with words. And that's not only a possibility, but that's the whole point of data storytelling. We see data as an ingredient to make a story. We live in the era when all the sources are going digital, and there's so much information stored in data sets that we, media people, cannot afford not to use this huge arsenal of information. So we should be using data as a source. Now, finding data, or if it does not exist, creating data, then sorting it and analyzing it with the help of a lot of different tools that are available today for that, is a skill set that can be acquired. You can learn it. It's not a big deal. It's just putting this data in context that makes a data story a story. 6 years ago, when we started doing data storytelling, we were still an inexperienced team in this field, but we had amazing designers and illustrators, and we still have them. And we took huge sets and sets of data, and we visualized them. And they looked professional. Nothing was missing, everything was in place. It was very accurate and all, but something still felt wrong. And we realized that it just did not tell a story. So we kind of missed the whole idea of data storytelling gap. I say we just to be nice, but I was not with them when they did that, okay? But we learned over time. Now we know that in order to make an impact and to make your data visualization memorable, you need to tell a story that provokes feelings. Okay? Like, if I come to you and ask you, what did you eat on Tuesday, there's no chance you will remember it. But if I ask you, what did you eat when you went out with your family the other day, you'll definitely remember it. That's because of the experience attached to it. So providing context is very crucial. Now let's share a couple of ways that might come in handy when trying to put your data in context. Let's say that we have a very strong data point that last year Tbilisi City Hall spent 50 million on private car service for its employees. I don't know how much they spent, this number is completely made up, but still it's very interesting that somebody spent 50 million on something. Sorry? However, it's still very difficult to know whether 50 million is a lot or a little for that. To know that, you need context, which can be provided by proportion. Like last year, Tbilisi Hall spent 2/3 of its office budget on private car service for its employees. Now that tells a story. Or context can be provided by internal comparison. Tbilisi City Hall spent more on private car service than on free meal for the homeless, which also shows the angle, like it shows how big amount this is. Or context can be provided by external comparison. Like Tbilisi City Hall spending on private car service last year was twice the nation's inclusive education budget, for example. Or context can be provided by change over time. Tbilisi City Hall spending on private car service has doubled in the past 2 years. This list can go on and on because there are so many different ways to interpret your data. And it's so much fun to try and find the best fit for your story. Data journalism is just a very powerful form of journalism. And it's not only about presentation of numbers. It's about telling engaging stories that are hidden in these numbers. If you enjoy storytelling in general, you will enjoy data storytelling as well. So if there is one thing that I would love you to remember from this presentation is that data and numbers, they are not our enemies, they are our friends, and they just put so much extra power to our stories. Thank you.